Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, that was you just called? No.
No, that was my quote.
Oh, what's happening? All right, man. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High, Yah, by way of His Son, YAHUSHA, HaMashiach, John 5:39. John 5:39. And it says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start at Psalms. No, we're going to start at Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 1. Proverbs chapter 5 and verse 1. That's what we're going to do. Proverbs 5 and 1. And it says this. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou may regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep my knowledge. Now, this is a very important thing that he just stated here. He said that if you would attend unto his wisdom, or his skill, and bow your ear to his insight, that you might be able to regard discretion. When we look at that word discretion, it literally means a purpose or a device or a plot, or your thoughts or your intents. So if you would sit back and you will regard the plot or the plan. Listen what he says after this here though. For the lips of the strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. Now we just talked about the other day about drinking water out your own well. And when we look at the word for honeycomb here, we have no faith, and it means flowing honey from the comb, dripping down, in the sense of shaking something to pieces or something that is dripping. Say her mouth is smoother than oil. Now what do you think about this here if it means that this honeycomb is something that's dripping and her mouth is just smoother than oil?
I think about the lines on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eloquent speech.
Mm-hmm.
A gab.
Absolutely.
Being able to persuade and manipulate through words.
Absolutely.
Through communication with the words.
Absolutely, because that smooth is going to be the word kalak, and it's flattering. So he said you got to be careful dealing with the strange woman. Her words drop as a honeycomb. You know what I'm saying? Now, we're going to look at other places where it says that the word is compared to a honeycomb. Look at verse 4 so y'all can see the direction that I'm about to get ready to go. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou cannot know them. Now, what do y'all think this could mean if he's telling you, you better watch? He say, if you attend to his wisdom and bow your ear to his understanding, you will regard the device and the plot. Your lips going to keep his knowledge. Because he's trying to protect you from a strange woman whose words drop like a honeycomb and her mouth is smoother than oil, and she going to get you killed. Now, what y'all think this could mean?
That she's very convincing of what she's saying. But if we could tune in and we could receive the word and be taught the word, we will be able to get the discernment that should show up, so we'll be able not to be fooled.
Mm-hmm.
Because what she's saying, it sounds so convincing and it sounds so much like you.
Now, when we look at the word movable, right? It means to quiver, to totter, to shake, to reel, to stagger, to move, to sift, to make move, to cause, to tremble, to cause, to wonder, to toss about. Now, what y'all think this could be referring to as you sit back and think it? Because he said you need to ponder the path of life. You know that if it's saying path, that's the rock, and that's the way of the highest that covers sins. He said you can't know this thing that's going to cost you to and fro. Now, that word is Yada means to know, to learn, to perceive, to see, to find out, and discern, to discriminate, to distinguish, to know by experience. Say her words are smoother than oil, it drops. Let's take it back to the beginning as we work ourselves. Let's just use a little bit of Torah before we work ourselves back and see what this is talking about. Because we talked about drinking waters out your own well. And it's a lot of people, they're not going to drink waters out their own well, and it's going to be to their destruction. Let's look at Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1.
What was the scripture, Genesis what?
3 and 1. As we were talking about Wednesday, I say a strange woman is a strange teaching. What a strange teaching is anything that's outside the word of Yahuwah. It's a lot of people that do things that go outside the word of Yahuwah. Remember what Proverbs 16 and 24 says, or 25 if I'm not mistaken, which we're going to look at something in Proverbs 16. There's a way that seems right unto a man, and the end thereof are the ways of death. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff, it look right to you. It feel right to you. And you're going to go to hell behind it too. You know what I'm saying? It felt right to Eve. It looked right to Eve. And she went to hell for it. And when I say hell, I'm referring to Sheol in this instance, or the grave. She died behind it. Genesis 3 and 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, have Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden. But the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim hath said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. For Elohim doth know that in that day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. See, right then and there, he came with the lips of that strange woman, dropped as a honeycomb, smoother than oil. She didn't attend her ear under wisdom and understanding. Therefore, she would have regarded the scripture and kept them lips. See, she professed the knowledge of Elohim out of her lips, but she didn't hold it in her heart, though. Because right after that, she said, it's one to make me wise and look good for food and pleasant to the eyes and make one wise. So she took it and died. Because it seemed right to her, but the end was death. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of people think it looked right to you and you're going to die behind it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to die behind it. But see, there's another key thing of what we sit back and we look at this here, man. Look at Galatians 1 and 9. See, that was a strange doctrine that he said. This is why the book tells you repeatedly, if somebody brings a different doctrine than the one that you done received, not to deal with them. See, that's what people come in and say, oh, see, you in a cult, or you just that there in the third. No, you supposed to hold on to the word. This ain't what the book say. Why would I listen to you? See, and this is what wicked people try to get you to do when you own the path. Well, that's what happens to you. That was a delayed one, too. Don't feel bad, Lil. I took numerous of them in my time. Make it 1 and 6. He said, I marvel that you are so soon removed from him that called you into the favor of Mashiach unto another gospel. This man is telling you to attend your ear under his wisdom so that that strange woman doesn't drop as a honeycomb and her mouth be smooth in the oil. Because it's going to go down to death and you're going to take hold of death. This is what happened to Eve now. But I ain't really dealing with Eve. We just using something out of the law to back that up. Not even really. The focus really is not on Eve. You already know in this instance, Eve would be symbolic of Yasharal. So don't sit back and think we just focusing on the female gender, because that's not what we focus on. He said, but though we or Malachim from Shamahim preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so say now I again, if any man preach on any other gospel unto you than that you have received, let him be accursed. This man just said that they ought to be cursed. Now we know the serpent got cursed in Genesis chapter 3. So we know when somebody is that strange woman is bringing that doctrine that leads to death. This is a cursed thing, and she is cursed with it, and she is trying to curse you. See, that's what people don't sit back and realize. They said that's what a lot of people don't want to hear. You know what I'm saying? They don't really want to hear that. People always say, see, brother, you got to preach some love, brother. You know what I'm saying? So you telling people they going to hell, and I ain't telling nobody going nowhere. The book telling you going. You know what I'm saying? Because you already know that this book is condemning your behavior. If you one thing you sit back and you look at is that when people go outside the will of Yahuwah Elohim, and there's somebody that is stating what the will of Yahuwah Elohim is, then they don't want to come around those people to deal with those people because that word that is being preached is going to condemn their behavior. Therefore, they would not feel comfortable enough to be in that presence of that. It would be much easier to be in the presence of those that make you feel better about your ungodly behavior. You know what I'm saying? So you got to remember one thing in Isaiah 58:1. He told you to proclaim the sins of Jacob and the transgressions to the children of Yasharal. That doesn't necessarily mean you go running around on every black person you see and proclaim their transgressions. That ain't even necessarily meaning that you sit at and you just individually poke at a person and say you're doing this wrong, you're doing this wrong. You just manifest the word, and the word will make known what a man's sins and transgressions are. Then it's on that individual, once the word is made manifest, what their evil works are, what will they do with that after the fact? You know what I'm saying? Before you can be healed by the words, you got to be cut by it. You know what I'm saying? Before the medicinal purposes can be manifested under you, that wound's got to be hit. And that's what people don't want. They don't want to be pricked in their heart. You notice every time the people were pricked in their heart, save for those 3,000 men in the book of Acts, they killed the men after that. You know what I'm saying? I just was telling Will this earlier, man. When you actually deal with this word, really deal with it, it's not very many people that love you. Like really, genuinely, truly love you, it ain't that many. Most people hate you. You know what I'm saying? Most niggas sit around you, act like they love you. They don't. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that many people that loved the master. It wasn't that many people that loved the prophets. They didn't love these men for real. They didn't love him for real. That man said, if you loved Elohim, you would love me because I proceed forth and come from him. You would think that if people profess that they the sons of Yasharal and we want to be the sons of Elohim and the daughters of Elohim, you think that they would actually love those who are the manifestation of that. But people really don't. They like that strange doctrine, that smooth words, that flattering tongue. Daniel chapter 8, verse 22. See who this strange woman is. See what it's really talking about. One of my people, man, my people in Detroit, when they hit these dudes with the stump, man, they let them know Sunday, praise be to Yah. He let us hit a couple weeks ago with that change in the time and laws in Daniel 7:25. You know, every Hebrew running around here be like, see that talking about the changing of the Sabbath. And we know that hasn't even happened yet. We know who that is going to change these times and laws. And this is Solomon warning you about that strange woman. Because all you got to remember is what we looked at in 1 Kings chapter 11 on Wednesday. He forgot to attend his heart under wisdom and understanding. Therefore, the strange woman flattered him with his tongue and got him to do what? Serve idol gods. That's why it's better for you to drink waters out your own well. Say what now? Daniel chapter 8, verse 22. That's how you end up getting got. That's why he tell you not to mess with no sinners. Don't even listen to their doctrine. What you fooling with them for? They gonna kill you. Sinner tell you everything you want to hear, man. Make it sound real good. I'm your friend, you know. I'm here for you. And it seemed like the people of the word, they not there for you like you want them to be. And that sinner coming through and they taking you to hell. And before you look up, you're done. Because they doing just like what Eve seen. Man, it looked good to me. It looked pleasant. You ain't knowing that she taking you to this pathway of death. You ain't even know it. Daniel 8 and 22. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. This is why he told you to apply your ear to wisdom and your heart to understanding, so you will regard discretion or the plot or the device. That's why the master said if it was possible, they would even deceive the very elect. See, if you don't bow your ear down, because I don't want to keep misquoting it, man, because I know I ain't saying it right. If you don't want to attend unto wisdom and bow your ear to understanding, when we know faith come by hearing and hearing come by the word, and search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there testify of me, and these are the things that's written in the Torah of Moses, and in the Psalms, and in the prophets concerning me, and he opened the scriptures that they might understand, you going to hell, man. If you don't understand the plot and device of what Yahuwah set forth through the mystery of his son, to be able to not be deceived by this man who coming with these dark sentences, you going to hell. Why? Because you didn't want to attend unto wisdom, and you didn't want to bow your ear to understanding. Because that's that Romans 10 now. Faith come by hearing, and hearing come by the word. And the Son of Elohim is coming to give you an understanding. That's the word. That's a problem. See, a lot of people, they floating around here, they think they straight. Y'all knows if he leave them alive, they going to hell when this man pop up on the scene. Because his words are going to be smoother than oil. And they going to drop like a honeycomb. Because he going to drop the word on you. We just seen Daniel 8 say this man understand dark sentences. This man's going to drop the word on you. All right, now, this is what he tell you now. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully and practice. And shall prosper, my apologies. And practice and shall destroy the mighty and the Kadesh people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart. And by shalom destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Now you got to remember, I meant this, it was actually Daniel 11 that we wanted, but that worked out nevertheless. Because Daniel 11:34, he said he'll cleave to many with flatteries. And that's again taking you back to that Hebrew word for that smooth. It meant to flatter. You have to watch people that come just flatter you all the time. You know what I'm saying? I was talking about a couple weeks ago, see, when nigga come flattering me, telling me all that stuff make me uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? That makes me uncomfortable. You tell me I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. I don't get no pride out of that. That don't make me feel good. That doesn't elevate me or nothing. You know what I'm saying? I remember it was a dude I first met in the word, never met him before. First time meeting him. We just mentioned a couple scriptures. He like, oh, he's serious. He's serious. I said, I got to watch this nigga. You know what I'm saying? You going too hard, bro. Trying to inflate me and make me feel this, that, there, and the third. And over time, that went past. And nigga showed that nigga ain't like me at all. You know what I'm saying? That nigga ain't really rock with me like that, man. I have to watch that type of stuff. Nigga, I don't get off on that. You know what I'm saying? If you get off on people telling you this, that, there, and the third, if you need to hear that to validate yourself, to make you feel better about yourself, you need to reassess your self-esteem. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you got a self-esteem issue. And somebody could puff you up and gas you up. And that be for your downfall because they plot to take you down. You know what I'm saying? That stuff, man, I watch that type of stuff. I ain't on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm good on that. You know what I'm saying? I've always been like that, though. That ain't just something that just came up with the word. I've always been like that. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm not one that seeks praise, nor do I need to hear it. I know everybody like somebody to tell me, you know, you did a nice job. I appreciate what you did, but, man, I'm straight on that. I'm not one of them people that need to hear that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. You especially living in Duval County. Like you talking about dealing with women, they come out, oh, you so handsome, this, that, there. She wants something. People come flattering you real hard, they want something. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to give a compliment. It's another thing to be flattering people or overly flattering someone. They want something. So now my antennas go standing up. Now I'm just sitting back and watching. Wait, what is it that you actually want? Because you want something. You know what I'm saying? Look at Revelation 17:1. Because it says, you see, keep you from the lips of this strange woman. Revelation 17:1. Now y'all sit back and see why you need to attend unto wisdom and bow your ear to understanding. This stuff is to protect you from the things to come. That's why you got to lay the word up in your heart. And it's just got to be more so than just knowing precepts. This stuff, you have to become one with it. This whole thing got to literally become your life. How many of y'all would really be ready, willing, and able to really give up every single solitary thing you want to do? Literally. I'm talking about from minute to big. Like if there was things you want to do in life and the word precluded you from doing it, how would you feel about it? Would it bother you? Would you be offended? You know what I'm saying? Now, most of y'all don't preach. What if you was a preacher? Do you not realize that your life don't belong to you no more? That you just can't pop up and do stuff that other people do? How would you feel about that? Paul said it would be destruction unto him if he didn't preach the gospel because necessity was laid upon him. How many people really want to carry that responsibility? How many people really want to? Because that's what the master did. He laid his whole life down for other people. And that what he wanted to do and what he wanted to seek after no longer mattered. You not realize when he told Peter and James and John and Matthew and all the rest of the apostles that followed after him, these men gave up their entire life. Why you think Peter said, man, we done forsook all? What will we get? What y'all think that mean when he said, well, we done abandoned everything? What we gonna get? I don't think we realize that sometimes, how serious that is. They abandoned everything. Walked away from it. This is why in Luke 9 he told you if you put your hand to the plow looking back, you're not even fit for this. You're not even fit for it. He said, let me go back to the house. He said, man, how you going to put your hand to go do the work? Now you want to go back and, oh, you know, I got dreams to do this and do that. How you going to do that? You supposed to be out here working, nigga. See, don't even worry about it. I know you ain't made for this. That's a hard saying right there. Like it's saying in John 6, that's a hard saying. Because everybody want to drop the word. But how many people actually want to take the full necessity and responsibility that come along with it, that your life no longer belongs to you? I don't think many people really want to do that. Not in real life. Sound good in theory till you actually got to do it. 17:1, right? Revelation, right? And there came one of the 7 Malachim, which had 7 vials, and talked with me, saying, come hither, I will show thee the judgment of the great whore that sit upon the many waters. My apologies. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the Ruach into the wilderness. I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names and blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, decked with gold and precious stone and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the Kadeshim, with the blood of the martyrs of YAHUSHA. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Now I ask y'all a question. Now how we look at this whore of Babylon and relate her to Proverbs 5? Hello? Shalom. How are we going to take this whore of Babylon and relate her to Proverbs chapter 5? How are we going to be able to do that? How is her words dropping like a honeycomb? How are her words smoother than oil?
It has to be smooth if she deceived the whole earth and had the blood of the saints.
Anybody else? How do you think this woman able to do this? How are we going to take this woman and relate her to Proverbs chapter 5? How are we going to be able to do this? When you look at it, what is this woman in Revelation 17, what is she holding? She got a cup full of fornication in her hand. Ain't that what she got? That's what she got, right? She got a golden cup full of her abomination. Say the whole earth done drunk the wrath of the wine of her fornication, right? Well, let's look at what this wine would be. And let's see how it's the opposite of the copy. Let's go to Matthew 26 and 25. Or 24. Look at the opposite. Because all she's doing is copying. That's all she's doing. Matthew 26 and 24. Dang, I gotta use all the book. Oh, I strained my back. It hurts. It hurts. Matthew 26 and 24. That's chapter 25. That might help if I was in the right one, now wouldn't it? The Son of Man go as it is written of him, but woe unto the man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said. And as they were eating, YAHUSHA took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Now we see that the master with this cup of wine is signifying the bringing in of the covenant, right? So if this great whore has a cup of wine of fornication, what is she bringing? What's she bringing?
Fornication of the flesh.
No, she ain't bringing no fornication in the flesh. What she bringing is she got a cup full of the wine of her fornication, her abominations. What is she bringing?
Her doctrine and teaching the covenant. Yeah.
She bringing her doctrine, her teaching. She's bringing the covenant. Didn't it say that the beast or that man that said in Daniel 11? Remember we went over that. Didn't it say he would make a covenant with the people and call, and that those that would forsake the covenant would come and make a covenant with him? It's not the mark of the beast, the sign of the covenant that you would have with the man of sin or the anti-Mashiach? That's what this is referring us to. That's why he say if you attend your ear unto wisdom. That's why he said if you attend your ear unto wisdom, or if you attend unto my wisdom. The key thing is he said his wisdom. And bow your ear to understanding, it would cause you to regard discretion. It would cause you to remember the way of Yahuwah and not to be fooled up with this woman whose words are smoother than oil, because it already said, you got to remember this whore Babylon is headed by the man of sin in Revelation 13. He leading this. He's heading this. This is his religious system and construct sitting upon the people, and they are serving him. And she has this wine of the wrath of her fornication and these abominations in her hand. And you know from our law, it's an abomination to worship idols. It's an abomination to worship idols. So this is what he's telling you. That's why we went back and looked at Genesis chapter 3. That's why you turn around and you looked at what was in Galatians chapter 1 about a person being cursed that brings a doctrine different than the one that you have received. Because if you would have remembered his wisdom and bowed your ear to his understanding, which we mentioned, that's the son of Elohim, then that would keep you. You wouldn't be deceived. You understand what I'm telling you? Because this man is coming to deceive people. See, look at Matthew 24 and look what the master warns you about. 24 and 23. Because it said this woman pathway lead to death. Everybody that follows the beast is going to die. He told you to come up out of her, my people, that you don't be a partaker of her plagues, because her sins don't reach the Shamahim. We got to remember, iniquity is as stubbornness and idolatry. This is what's in this woman's cup. Idolatry is an abomination. Stubbornness is an abomination. Witchcraft is an abomination, which is rebellion. Rebelliousness is an abomination to Yahuwah. That means everything that Yahuwah hates is in this woman's cup, and that's what she's teaching. Because when you drink from that cup, you are taking in her covenant. And we got to remember that honeycomb or that nafaf is referring to dripping or the pouring forth. Or again, going back to drinking waters out of your own well and drinking waters of living water. She's trying to get you to be a partaker of her teaching. Her teaching is explicitly against the words of the living Elohim, which if you would have attended under his wisdom and bowed your ear to understanding, you would have regarded that and you would have had a discretion to keep yourself from the plot. You would have considered the pathway of life. And while you sit back and look at it, it's a lot of people say a lot of things out here trying to get you to go astray. Then if any man shall come unto you, lo, here is Mashiach, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Mashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. He done already warned you. But these people going to come telling a lot of lies. They're going to come tell you a lot of things. He say if you regard the plots or have discretion to regard what this man got going on, that will not happen to you. This is another instance why the testimony of Mashiach is integral and vital. Because if you know him, how can any man deceive you when the Ruach is the truth? How can this man deceive you? We already read in Daniel 8, he said he going to come with flattery and coming in peace. And you know what I'm saying? All this type of stuff, understanding dark sentences. So he going to be dropping as a honeycomb. What's the best way to deceive somebody than to try to deceive them with the word? That's the best way to get them. You can't really get people and then you're not. How you think Muslims is able to deceive so many people? Because they use the scriptures to do it. They interlope the scriptures and men out the book for their words to drop like a honeycomb so you could go for it. Even when it's forth is to put in the master in their book. Oh, he's not a son of God, he's just a prophet, but we got him in here, we hold him in high regard. That's to get you. That's
I'm
the
saying
issue.
that's what Satan did in Matthew 4 to Yahushua. He dropped the spirit of songs.
But see, he was just coming at him to get him to do this right here and do this right here. Before he even came at him, he tempted him to do something, and he telling him what the book say. But he wasn't necessarily deceiving him with the book. He just was saying, well, the book say this, so you should do this. See, even before he said what was in Psalms, he asked him to turn these stones into bread. And then he went to showing him stuff. The one time he mentioned in the book is jump off this thing, man. Yah save you. That's what the book say, right? See, now that's the difference of what wicked people do. Wicked people are turn around and try to get you to do something that you shouldn't do and say, well, the word says Yah will save you. Get you to tempt the Most High to do something because his word say that he'll do it. But see, this nigga gonna come with the word and make it seem as if he fits it. So you'll follow him. You know, Babylon is a system. It's a system of confusion. The only way you're going to be confused is because you're not a Kadeshim. You don't know the word. Say, Elohim is not the author of confusion, but Shalom in all the houses of the Kadeshim. So if he's Shalom in all the bodies of the houses of the set apart ones, that means all of those have destroyed the authority attached to chaos. Satan no longer reigns in this place. But if you haven't destroyed Satan and the authority that he has over death by destroying the body of sin and no longer being a servant unto it, then you will be easily deceived. It's not hard to deceive a sinner because they already deceived in themselves by the sin that they live in. That's what you got to understand. And you got to understand that the first hallmark of a sinner is an unbelieving mind. If you have an unbelieving mind, you grade A to be deceived. Top-notch candidate. And that's for real. Don't let nobody tell you no different. If you don't believe, you already in sin. If you don't have a full assurance of faith inside of your heart and in your mind and in your ruach, you already in sin. Because he said all unrighteousness is sin.
Okay.
And it says that Abraham was deemed righteous because he believed in Yahuwah. So if you don't really believe in Yahuwah, you're already an abomination. And that's another thing that she got in her cup. Hello? Come back to Proverbs 5. Hello? Oh, you got disconnected. Y'all got to think about that. Say her feet go straight to death. And as we done sat back and we done looked at this here, so you know what that tells us? That anytime somebody's coming with a doctrine different than the word, you go straight to death. Matter of fact, just go ahead and get the second epistle of John. And we'll just reiterate that one more time. That's why it's very, very important to know your Elohim. You can't know your Elohim if you don't know his son. You know his son, no man can deceive you. If you don't know his son, you will be greatly deceived. 7th verse of the second epistle of John. Look at what John tell you. We looked at this the other day, but we're going to look at it again. Look what John tell you. For many deceivers are entered into the world who confess not that YAHUSHA HaMashiach is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an anti-Mashiach. Look to yourselves that we lose not those things which we have wrought, but that we receive a full reward. Whosoever transgress and abide not in the doctrine of Mashiach have not Elohim. He that abide in the doctrine of Mashiach, he have both the Abba and the Son. You got to realize that. Come over here to 1 John chapter 2, I believe. First John chapter 2 and verse 12. I write unto you, little children, because your sins are forgiven you for his name's sake. I write unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I write unto you, young men, because you've overcome the wicked one. I write unto you, little children, because you have known the Father. I've written unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I've written unto you, young men, because you are strong, and the word of Elohim abide in you, and you have overcome the wicked one. Now he's got to tell you something. He said, look how he said you known him that was from the beginning. He said, that's what he told the fathers. You've known him that's from the beginning. I write unto you young men because you overcame the wicked one. I write unto you little children because you've known the Father. He said, I write unto you fathers because you've known him that is from the beginning. I write unto you young men because you are strong and the word abide in you and you overcome the wicked one. Well, let's look at what this thing that he's telling us. First, let's look at John chapter 1 and verse 1 and then get you John chapter 6 and about verse 44. So how are you going to be able to overcome this woman with these flattering words? Why? Because you will attend unto wisdom and you will bow your ear to understanding. And he said, you have known him that is from the beginning. This is what he told the older men. Then he told the young men, you abide, the word Elohim abide in you, and you overcome the wicked one because of your knowledge of this man. This is when you will regard discretion. You will regard the plot. You will regard your maker. You will regard your savior. Therefore, you can't be led to death. Because it says this woman who's dropping these smooth, oily words, and her lips are dropping this honeycomb, she just dripping word out of her mouth. She gonna kill you. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with Elohim, and the word was Elohim. The same was in the beginning with Elohim. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shined in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended not. Now you think about that. He said, you've known him that is from the beginning, right? Before we look at John 6, and when we look at John 6 and 44, I just work it that way. Let me get you Romans 16 and 22. John 6 and 44. Listen to what he tells these people. Because he said, young men, you are strong. Because he said, you overcome the wicked one. The master told you, be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. Who is he that overcome the world? But he that believed that YAHUSHA is the son of Elohim. This is the victory, even our faith. How do you believe that he's the son of Elohim? Because you believe on him as the scripture has said. Because you understand the scriptures. Because you bowed your ear to understanding. And faith come by hearing, and hearing come by the word of Elohim. For who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahuwah revealed. Therefore, ain't no way in the world somebody could come dropping no doctrine different than that, and you'll fall for it. That's why this man told you, if somebody come bringing a doctrine different than the one you receive, let him be damned. That ain't being, see, that's what they see, you religious, brother. That's what people try to intimidate you with and manipulate you with to go against the word, to fit what they want you to do. People get mad. That's why I tell you, man, people don't really love you when you really stand for the word. People don't really love you for real. Because people always know somebody's going to bend it or this, that, there, the third. I can get you to go against what you believe in. You don't really believe in it like that there because you're so worried about keeping the peace and not upsetting nobody. You too worried about a nigga feelings. If the book say let him be damned if you bring another doctrine, then let that nigga be damned then. You know what I'm saying? That's what the book say. Look him in the face. Y'all damn Satan because he brought another doctrine. He cursed him. He damned him because he brought another doctrine. Different than the one that they received. He made sure to damn him. This man told you in Ezekiel 14 and I think in Ezekiel 13 that any prophet that bring a different doctrine in that day, he say, I'm going to make sure I kill him. I'm going to damn him. So the man ain't playing about that. So why would that worry you or bother you if you looking at, man, you bringing a doctrine different than what the book say? I might not fool with you. That's not my master. That's not what the book says about my master. That's not what the book says about my Elohim. Let you be cursed. John 6 and 44. No man can come to me except the Abba which has sent me draw him, and I raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, they shall all be taught of Elohim. Every man therefore that have heard and have learned of the Abba come unto me. Not that any man have seen the Abba, save he which is of Elohim. He hath seen the Abba. Remember what he said, right? Come back to 1 John chapter 2. Remember what he said now. Just remember what he said now. Look what the Apostle John stated in his epistle letter. Look what he told him right there. He told him in verse 14, or in verse 13, that the little children have known the Father. Say why? Because he say, all he says written in the prophets. That's the book of Isaiah, the 54th chapter where it's written there. That all your children will be taught of Elohim. So he said these young ones, they would know the Father because they know the Son. You can't know the Father without the Son. The Son has to manifest himself to you for you to learn of the Father, because his whole objective is to bring you under Elohim. I was talking to a brother about this the other day, right? Dudes around here again talking about, see, polygamy. I was talking to Pale about this, matter of fact. They were talking about it again, we're going to get wise in the kingdom and only a third of our people going to be saved, so we got to repopulate the earth. And it's the mind frame of men that you think you're going to be skeeting and beating while your Elohim is right next to you. This is what you think you're going to be doing. Do you know how perverse and corrupt your mind got to be to think that you're going to be having sex and the living Elohim is right there with you? Do you know how dumb you got to be? Like, literally, you know how dumb you got to be that thought process can enter in your mind, that you think that's tangible, that you would be having sex while the living Elohim is present. I ain't talking about present in Ruach. I'm talking about literally there with you. Not even having enough common sense to know that when your bodily fluid is released, that whole place is defiled. And you think this what's going to happen. This show you how these people is not even prepared to meet their maker. Ain't even prepared, because we still thinking like carnally minded people. Says the carnal mind is death. It's death. You will die if you think after the flesh. This is how this woman's going to be able to deceive you, because you're not getting skill in war. You're not getting insight. Therefore, you're not going to regard the testimony of Mashiach. Therefore, you will surely perish, because you're going to run after what she's talking about. Romans 16 and 22. It's a lot of our people going to die. And I ain't talking about Romans 16 and 24. A lot of our people going to die. And I ain't talking about physical death. A lot of them going to die the second death because they did not follow that instruction by intending their ears to wisdom. Well, attending unto Yahuwah's wisdom. And bowing their ear to understanding, because they didn't believe the word, and they didn't attend the skillfulness to be able to defeat sin. Because how is you going to be able to defeat sin but to dwell in Hamashiach and Hamashiach dwell in you by making yourself a new heart and a new ruach, and to be born again? Because that which is flesh, and that which is ruach is ruach. Ain't no way in the world that we going to make it as a people. If we continue thinking and moving in that fashion, we will surely die. So we gonna lie to you like the serpent lied to her and told her she wouldn't surely die, because she didn't bow her ear to understanding, nor did she attend unto wisdom. Because she let that smoothness of those words and that flattery and her desire kill her. And we follow in that same pattern. That's why Romans 15 say the things that are written in the scriptures were written aforetime for our learning. It's for us to learn what not to do and not to make the mistakes that they made. But sinful and wicked people don't want to hear those things. Don't tell me about that. See, I want to hear some love. See, I need some encouragement, brother, and some positivity in my life. If you want some encouragement and positivity, lay that sin down. You know what I'm saying? Lay that sin down. Lay that down. And that's the positivity. We all need encouragement, and you can give each other encouragement all the time. Hello? Hello? But when that word coming, though, that's to show us what not to do, so that we can get to the place that we say that we want to be. If we say we want to be with Elohim, we have to make sure that we don't make the mistakes that our ancestors made that got them separated from Elohim. Because it's real easy. You got to remember, we flesh and blood. We're dust and ashes. And this flesh is weak. And it's real easy to follow the same pattern, get caught up in the same trap that they did. It's real easy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to tell you something, right? If all we did is talk about all the good stuff and everything that Elohim got all the time, ain't nobody going to make it in the kingdom. And I'm going to hell because I ain't warn you. I ain't going to hell because I ain't warn you. You know what I'm saying? See, people don't sit back and look at that. It's a major responsibility that comes with administering their man word. You could go to hell for not warning the people. Everybody like to quote Ezekiel chapter 3 about being the watchman, but people don't really want to warn nobody for real. Because they're more concerned with being these people's friend. You don't really want people not to like you. Don't get it twisted. Everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be accepted. You know what I'm saying? Some people are a little bit more loners, and some people don't really care if people like them or not. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to be ostracized. Nobody wants to be alone. But at the same token, if you walk with YAHUSHA, you can't care about being ostracized. You can't care about being rejected. You can't care about having people speaking evil of you. It don't feel good, but you can't care about that. Because this word brings about separation. It will cause you to be separated from people, and you will have to hurt people's feelings. And you don't even have to be purposely going out to hurt their feelings. Because it's the word that's going to be hurting their feelings. Because remember, he said, he that despiseth not man, but Elohim. That's who they got a problem with. They can try to throw it off on you if they want to, but their problem is with Yahuwah. That's who their problem is with. Regardless of what they talking about. You got a problem with y'all, nigga. You don't want to do what he say. Your problem ain't with me. Your problem's with Yahuwah, nigga. You hate the man. You despise the man because you don't like what he has to say. You don't like what he stands for. You don't like the standard that he laid down. You don't like his ordinances. You don't like his statute. You don't like his judgments because you can't appease your flesh in the midst of that. We so wicked, we take our wicked works and try to say Yahuwah set that up. You done seen that in this book. Where men use their evil intentions and try to say Yahuwah has something to do with that. You seen them doing it in the wilderness with the golden calf. This is Yahuwah Elohim which brought. No, nigga, that's your stuff, man. That man ain't got nothing to do with that. You did that, nigga. That's why he says it's a way that seems right to a man, but the end of it is you're going to die. We don't think about this stuff. That's why I mentioned that to you earlier. How many people really want to do like what the apostles did and forsake everything that they have? What if you had a hope and dream and the word precluded you from doing it? What would you do? What if it was something you wanted to go do and the word precluded you from doing it? What would you do? See, that's the pill you got to swallow. You know what I'm saying? That's the pill. See, it's real easy to say, oh, I ain't gonna work on no Sabbath, man. I ain't gonna eat no pork. But let's sit back and look at what is a responsibility that the word laid in your lap. And it's something in this world and in this life that you want. That's why he say the deceitfulness of riches and the cares and affairs of this life choke off the word. You don't bring forth no fruit. That's why a lot of people going to hell. Because they let everything in this life preclude the fact of that word ought to be bringing forth fruit. That's why ain't no fruit being manifested. Because you worrying about this life and doing this and doing that and doing this. And I got to make this and I got to make that. And I got all this type of stuff. And you're going to go to hell in the end because that's really where your heart was at. Your heart wasn't with the word. Look at the righteous men that came before you. Them people put all their stuff to the side because the word was more important than what they had going on. How many of y'all, man, if we transport ourselves 2,000 years ago, that you would honestly say, if this man looked you in your face and said, follow me, you followed? I'm not finna sit here and tell you that I would have did that 2,000 years ago because I don't know the mind that that man would have had me with at that time. Because we had to sit back and look at till 7 years ago, man, I wasn't on that. So if anybody sit back and open their mouth and say, I know I would have followed him, we know you wouldn't have. At the least you would say, I hope I would have followed him. But if you say you know you would have, you know you'd have been one of them people out there talking about crucifying. Like this man looked people in the face and said, walk away from your life, and they dropped everything they was doing and went. Ain't asked no questions. Now, how many of y'all sit back and think like, boy, I'm on that same type of time? That you would drop everything you was doing and walk away from it because the salvation of your soul was more important than anything in this life. That's what Peter did. Peter was fishing. He told him, man, I'll make you fishers of men. The nigga dropped the net. I'm gone. Man, Matthew was sitting at the tax table at the customer receipt. He said, follow me. Man, got up and left his job. That's what he did. Got up and left his job. The man was at work. I'm going to holler at y'all. So man, they sit back and say, well, shoot, boy, I was planning to do this here Thursday, man. I guess I ain't going to be able. Man, they ain't care nothing about that. God told me, come on, I'm gone. That's the mind we got to have. You got to be willing to walk away from stuff. Because everything you're walking away from don't necessarily mean that you committing to sin by doing it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about literally abandoning your whole life. Look at Matthew 19:27 says I'm talking about. Matthew 19:27. And then John 12:25, I believe. And then we get back to the main key point, what I'm looking at. What it is, 9:30. Matthew 19:27. Matter of fact, I just back him up a little bit. 19 and 20. 19 and 20. The young man saith unto him, all these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? Now, of course, you know, this man saying, hey, man, what I got to do to get eternal life? You know, the master told him keep the commandment. He said, oh, yeah, man, I've been doing all that. He said, no, he had to be slick. That nigga said he had to come at him and say which. That's how you know he a nigga. What you mean? This man told him keep the commandment. This nigga say which one? That's how wicked niggas' minds is. This man tell you keep the commandments. He say which one? So when the master go to running it down to him, he said, oh, I done did all that. He said, what I'm lacking here now? Look what he tell him. YAHUSHA said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in Shamahim, and come and follow me. Give up everything you got and come with me. Forsake all your hopes, all your dreams, all your desires, everything you trying to do in life, man. Put all that to the side and come follow me. Now that's a hard saying right there. This ain't even talking about selling all your goods because you rich to the poor. This man said, give your whole life up for me. He said, boy, I'll give you treasures on high. Like Paul told you in Colossians 3:1, set your affections on the things that's above and not the things on their wrath, where the master sit at the right hand of Abba. How many people really willing to do that? Really sit back and let that sink into your brain what he just told this man. Because all we always seem to focus on when you look at that story is that he told him to sell all his belongings. When the key point, what you're supposed to be looking at is, he told him, give your life up for me. Sacrifice your life for me. Walk away from everything you want to do and everything you got and come follow me. He ain't asked him to do nothing that he hadn't already done himself. So let that be known. The master ain't telling you to do nothing he ain't doing. He said, but when the young man heard that, saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. See, now you look at the great possessions, the physical things, but really what his possession was, he didn't want to give his life up. He was possessed by the cares and affairs of this life. He didn't want to give that up. Then said YAHUSHA unto his disciples, truly I say unto you that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of Shamahim. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. And when the disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, who then can be saved? But YAHUSHA beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with Elohim all things are possible. Then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? That man said, we gave up everything. Now these were fishermen, so these weren't rich men. The men that he went and grabbed were not necessarily rich men. Peter said, man, we gave up everything. What we gonna get? Look what he tell them. YAHUSHA said unto them, truly I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his esteem, you shall also sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. And every one that have forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Now let that sink in your brain. That man say this is what the people who gonna get. Now you know he transitioned from his apostles and mentioned everybody. How many of y'all will be willing to abandon what your wife or your husband or your children wanted you to do for the word? How many of y'all will be willing to do that? How many of y'all will be willing to walk away from your dreams and your hopes for the master? For YAHUSHA, he say, for my name's sake, this is what they gonna get. You got to think about that. That's a hard saying he just dropped. That when many people are faced with it, they're not going to walk with him no more. They're going to do just like they did in John chapter 6. They're going to stop walking with it. Cause whoa. I don't know about all that, sir. You know, I like what you're talking about. It sounds good. It's great, but hey, I'm trying to do this over here though. Now, please don't get it twisted. This ain't talking about being no bum or just saying, hey, screw life like some of these Israelites be teaching people. That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about, are you willing to give everything you got up for him? That's what we're talking about. Are you willing to give up everything you desire and everything you want to do for him? Because you've known him from the beginning. So you would have already known when you looked at your father Abraham, how he walked away from everything he had for Yahuwah. He said, get out from amongst your brethren and your kindred. He walked away. So you're already doing, all you're going back to is in what the law say, because your father Abraham already did that. He walked away from father and mother for Yahuwah's sake. That's what he did. Hamashiach walked away from his Abba and Shamahim for Yahuwah's name's sake. These men are not asking you to do nothing that no one else had already done. Because it was their faith in Yahuwah would cause them to do that. I know whatever this man got for me is greater than what I could get by doing what I wanted to do. So I'll give that up because what he has is greater. This is what the rich young man couldn't see and understand. He couldn't look at the treasures that are in Shamahim and the things that Elohim have is greater than the things that you can get and receive on this earth. That he couldn't wrap his mind around that because he was so carnal. That book tells you in Hebrews 11 that these men walked around destitute and afflicted in sheepskins, being living in caves, wandering, and this man said you were not worthy to be in their presence. He said the world was not worthy of these men. Now that's a serious thing when the Ruach of your Elohim is speaking through a man, telling you that these men who were in all these things walked away from everything they had to be broke and naked and beaten and cut in half and living in caves, that you were not worthy to be in their presence. Because that man said, he that does not forsake all that he has is not worthy of me. This is why he made that statement. These men were willing to give up everything that they had. Therefore, they were worthy to be in the presence of Elohim. The people that were around them were not willing to do that. You can even sit back and look at it and see the instance where Adam forsaken the Garden of Eden to die with his wife. He forsook that to die for his wife. So I'm going to do that for Yahuwah's name's sake. I'll give my life up. Because Yahuwah the one told me I'm going to die. This woman done died. I'm going to go ahead and die with her. I'll give up everything I got. So we have to realize that to have that type of mind, that's what a spiritual mind is going to manifest. A spiritual mind will manifest the sufferings of the word, or the denial or the forsaking of things of this life for the things in the regeneration or the resurrection of the dead. That's what a spiritual mind is going to do. A carnal mind is not going to do that. John 12 and 22. Thank Yah for the word. Make it 25 actually. Then we swing over here back to the book of Proverbs, chapter 16. And verse 24. And you can get Proverbs 16, Proverbs 24, and Proverbs 27. We're going to run it down. Because I'm going to mention y'all, there's two words for the word honeycomb, which we finna look at. One is Naphath and the other is Yahara or Yahar. And we're going to take a look at both of these things and see how it pertains to our Savior and why this is important. John 12 and 25, right? He that loveth life shall lose it, and he that hateth life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serve me, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father esteem. So you have to sit back and look at it. He say wherever he is, that's where his servant going to be at. So you got to ask yourself, in the things that you do, in the places that you go, is YAHUSHA present? You can even sit back and look at that when we were talking about his forces in the manifestation in this earth. If they not preaching YAHUSHA HaMashiach, then he is not there. How could he be? how are you going to be saved? Come back to 1 John 2:18 before we proceed to Proverbs 6. How are you going to be saved? He is your life and salvation. Remember, this man said that this Torah, Moses told you in the law, this is not a vain thing for you. This is your life. Yahuwah is your life. Without Yahuwah, your life is irrelevant. You got to know that, right? Without Yahuwah, your life is irrelevant. Anything you do that doesn't belong with, that does not possess Yahuwah in that action is irrelevant. It means absolutely nothing. 1 John 2:18, bro. Listen what he tell you now. Little children, this is the last time as you've heard that the anti-Mashiach shall come. Even now there are many anti-Mashiachs whereby we know that it is the last time. This is why he's telling you, if you attend unto wisdom and bow your ear to understand it, it could keep you from the strange woman. It could keep you from the whore of Babylon. Because they trying to tell you that the son of Elohim ain't come in the flesh. Because that's what this man is going to come and do. This woman with this wine, the wrath of her fornication, and these abominations, and her idolatry, she going to try to tell you that YAHUSHA HaMashiach didn't come 2,000 years ago and die on that state and resurrect on the third day and ascend to sit hand at the right hand of Abba till it was time for him to come back and redeem the children of Yasharal from the four corners of the earth. These people going to tell you this man ain't came. See, we ain't talking about all this piss people doing now. I'm talking about these people going to come outright in the open and tell you this man ain't came. You know how many brews gonna fall for that? When they come with that, dropping that word like a honeycomb, with that word smooth in the oil, because they ain't regard discretion. You know, those that have a spiritual mind would have been unabandoned everything, therefore they can see their master and the testimony of their master and see what this wicked bastard popping, stinking behind on the scene, that this man has not done any of that. They went out from us, but they were not of us. But if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest, that they were not all of us. And all that's just pointing you back to was in the wilderness, them wanting to go back to Egypt. Sure, they couldn't have been of Yahuwah. They wanted to leave from his presence. It's the same token in John chapter 6. The men couldn't have been of Yahuwah. When they turned their back on Yahusha, it showed that. But you have an unction from the Kadesh one, and ye know all things. I have not written unto you because you know not the truth, because ye know it, and that no lie is of the truth. Who is a liar but he that denies that Yahusha is the Mashiach? He is an anti-Mashiach, and that deny the Abba and the Son. Whosoever deny the Son, the same have not the Father. But he that acknowledge the Son, have the Father also. Let that therefore abide in you, which you've heard from the beginning. And that which you've heard from the beginning shall remain in you. Ye shall also continue in the Son and in the Father. And this is the promise that he's promised us, even eternal life. Because the life is in his Son. That's why you got to keep this man's wisdom and bow your ear to understanding. Because these people are going to come seduce you. And even before this man of sin and this whore of Babylon come to seduce you, it's going to be people you run across in life that's going to come to try to seduce you. The same way the serpent seduced Eve. This is why this man told you, if they bring another doctrine different from the one you have heard, let them be accursed and get away from them. He said, if they come preaching you another Yahusha whom we have not preached, you might bear well with them. Don't let these people try to scare you. See, you religious, brother. See, you got to open up your mind. Just remember in Hebrew, the word for simple and simplicity means open mind. Now, my mind closed, cuz. You know why my mind closed? Because I've been sealed with the Ruach. That man's covenant is sealed in my forehead and in my hand. We closed for business. I'm only open for Yahusha and his Abba Yahuwah. That's the only person I'm open for. If you ain't the Elohim of Yasharal, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we closed for business, cuz. I don't want to hear nothing you talking about. I was giving a lady a ride last night, and she telling me all the type of stuff, you know. She just got the headstone for her daughter, and she want to show me the picture of her daughter's headstone, and she telling me how she seen this great light when somebody she knew died in '83, and she seen it in the place where he died at. And then you know what she said when she got up out the car? See, you know, there is no hell. See, when you die, you just come back till you get it right. It made me think about, I used to talk stupid like that. You're just going to come back till you get it right. No, you're going to hell when you get up. Ain't no getting it right. It's appointed unto men once to die, and after that is the judgment. You ain't got it right. Fire and brimstone. Worms. That's you. We can't afford to be wrong. We can't afford it. You can't afford to be tried and fail. You can't afford it. Because you don't know when he's going to cancel your check. You don't know when he's going to do that. And that don't necessarily mean he's going to kill you. I'm just done with you. He didn't kill Saul immediately. He didn't kill Ahab immediately. But he was done with him though. He didn't kill Jezebel immediately. This man gives space for everybody to repent. But then he'll put you in a situation because he already knows where your heart and what's in your heart for you to make manifest unto men that you hate him so he can get rid of you. So then he can be just in his condemnation against you. Because he already, I seen a brother who used to, he hadn't been on the page. He an Egyptologist now. That nigga say, nature is his teacher. And some of y'all might have seen the photograph. I thought it was funny. The Hotep Deluxe kid, the niggas like to wear their little thong sandals with their ashy ankles. And they got their child support and their African shea butter and their little dashiki shirts. And he was like, oh, most Egyptologists, brothers and sisters on point with their information. But that wasn't the issue. I didn't even respond back to him. The issue was he say better than following a God who condemns his servants for breaking his law. He called him an unjust God for breaking his laws, which he controls them to do. So he was basically saying that Yah makes people sin. And then he send you to hell, but he made you sin. Yah didn't make you do nothing. Let that be known. James 1 and 26. Let that be known. Not 1 and 26, my apologies. 1 and 12. See, that's an anti-Mashiach. That's a wicked nigga. How you going to bring Elohim for you being a pervert? For you being a liar? For you being a thief and idolater? Is his fault? These niggas ought to go to hell. 1 and 12, James, right? Baruch is the man that endured temptation. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the master hath promised to them that love him. Let no man, when he say he is tempted, I am tempted of Elohim. For Elohim cannot be tempted with either, neither tempt he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. That when lust hath conceived, it bring forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bring forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. As I'm telling y'all this, what came to my mind was Ahab. Ahab was drawn away by his own lust to go to that war. So therefore, Yah put a lion ruach in the mouth of his prophets. Did Yah make Ahab go up to that battle? No, he didn't. Even after he had been made manifest that Satan came to deceive him, and he told him that he ought not to go, the nigga went anyway. And what happened when he went and transgressed by not taking his stupid butt back to the house? He died. So what got him killed? His own lust got him killed. Yahuwah ain't had nothing to do with that. That was all Ahab. That's why the book tell you this stuff is written aforetime for your learning. Now you can sit back and see what happens when you don't listen to what the man tell you to do and go do what seems right to you. You die. That's what happens. Do you know what I'm saying? Because before you go do something, this man warns you, shoot, 100% of the time. 100% of the time. He gonna warn you before it happens. Might warn you 3, 4, 5 times before you go make a stupid decision. And then once he see it's already been determined in your heart, he'll stop people from warning you. Let that nigga do what he do, man. See what his end gonna be. Oh, if he would have listened. Oh, if she would have listened. I would have caused death to be submitted unto her, submitted unto him, because they would have listened to me. I would have caused their enemy to be submitted. But we don't listen. Because we carnally minded, because I want what feels good and seems good. And what feels good and seems good gonna kill you. Because you didn't regard discretion. You didn't regard the plot. You didn't regard the device. You didn't regard the salvation of your Elohim. Romans 16:24. I didn't read that. Then we go to Proverbs 16. Thank y'all for the word. Thank y'all for the word. It's just something for you to consider, something for you to think about. Because every move ain't a good move. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking about a certain thing myself. Ain't no way in the world I could make that move. Because it'd be detrimental to me. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be a wise decision to make. Because I'm telling you, man, Satan know what you like. He know what you're looking for. He know what you desire. Put it right in your face. I put it to you like this here, right? Anything that don't lead you to Elohim is going to take you away from Elohim. And you don't necessarily have to be sinning when that happens. Because your Elohim is life. So if it's taking you away from him, then it's taking you away from life. We always get caught up in thinking, well, I'm not sinning, I'm not doing this. But if it's not drawing you closer to your Elohim, it's going to kill you. If it's bringing you closer to your Elohim, then common sense would tell you to cleave to that with every ounce of your being. With every ounce of your being, it would tell you to hold to what's going to bring you closer to your Elohim, because that's where the life is at. In him was light, and the light was the life of men. Whatever brings you closer to him, that's where you ought to be. That's why he say, where I am, my servant will be also. How do we say we serve this man, but then the direction that we going, he's not there? That don't make sense. You got to look at it. I wouldn't care if it was your husband, or somebody you were courting, or your children, or your friends, or your family, or your job, whatever. Is it leading you to Elohim, or is it taking you away? And if it's taking you away, then you need to assess, what do I need to do with this? You know what I'm saying? One of the sisters called me the other day, but I said, I can't tell you what to do. I tell you what the book say, and I tell you what I would do. But I can't tell you what to do. Y'all grown. You know what I'm saying? Whether y'all know it or not, because I was talking to Will about this here, I don't be asking what y'all be doing. I don't be asking what you got going on. Yahuwah know what y'all got going on, and he'll give me a word to drop it, and you can sit back and you can know, boy, I need to change that there. And it's not that I don't care. I care, but I don't care. When I say that, meaning I care what you're doing. I don't want you to do nothing that's detrimental, but I don't care enough to be able to be prying and want to know every single solitary move that you're making by trying to micromanage your life and know what you got going on every waking minute of the day. That's what I mean when I say I don't care. I don't care enough to be prying in your life. If you desire to let that be known what you're dealing with or what you done, then we could deal with it. But I'm not going to be like, so what this nigga doing? So what she been doing? I'm not going to be doing all that, because y'all grown. Y'all know right from wrong. You know what I'm saying? You know right from wrong. I shouldn't have to do no grown person like that. You know right from wrong. You know it. Because you know what the words say. So you know what you should do and what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't need nobody hovering over you to tell you what to do. There's no need for that. That word should be ever present with you in your heart and in your mind and in your soul to keep you from iniquity and death. See, I ain't talking about I don't understand what this means. I'm talking about your behavior and conduct. Nobody shouldn't have to be, you ain't got no business doing that. You grown, you're not 5. You're grown people. Some of y'all are parents. So you should have the skill and wisdom in certain areas to know what to do and what not to do. You grown. Romans 16:24. The favor of our Master YAHUSHA HaMashiach be with you all, so be it. Now to him that is a power to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of YAHUSHA HaMashiach, according to the revelation of the mystery which was kept secret since the world began, but now is made manifest, and by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the everlasting Elohim, made known to all nations for the obedience of faith. This is how you would regard discretion, because the secret has been made known, because you've attended under wisdom. You've attended under his gospel or his preaching of Yahusha to give you the skill to combat sin or to fight against it. And now he's made known the mystery, which gives you the insight or the understanding. Therefore, you know you will obey him because you believe. Because faith come by hearing, and hearing come by the word. That's why he say you will bow your ear to understanding. Therefore, no man could deceive you. Because they coming to deceive you to make you believe that this man did not come and that you should follow after this strange woman who going to be dropping this word on you. Do not be deceived, my beloved people, because they coming for your soul. And he come in all shapes, form, and size. Before we look at Proverbs 16, look at Matthew 16. I didn't want y'all to look at something. Look at Matthew 16. Just look at what the master told Peter. While this is in my head. Let me reach down here and grab the water bottle if my body will allow me. Matthew 16:21. Oh boy. Matthew 16:21. Oh, she's finna die. From that time forth, began Yahusha to show unto his disciples that how he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and the chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, master, this shall not be unto thee. But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savor not the things that be of Elohim, but those that be of men. Now, of course, Peter didn't know what was going on. All he was saying is, you're not going to die, even though this man was telling him, it's written in this book, I got to die. It's written in this book, I got to die. It's written in this book that I got to die. It's written in this book, I got to die. And you telling me that this ain't going to happen to me. This ain't nothing but the adversary, because those who are of the adversary, they desire the things that are of man and not the things that are of Yahuwah. That's all you got to sit back and look at. Look at the things that people say, man. Are they concerned with the things that be of men? Or are they concerned with the things that be of Elohim? Because those that are of men, that's what they're going to go after. That's what they're going to seek. That's what they're going to speak to. Because that's where their desire lays at. Where does your desire lays at? Do you savor the things that are a man, or do you savor the things that are Elohim? That can be the determining factor of where your soul rests on Judgment Day. Proverbs 16 and 24. Listen to what he say now. Now we're going to shift. We're going to shift from the adversary trying to use the word to deceive you and shift it to your Elohim. So what he tell you now? Pleasant words are as a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. I'll read 25 just on general principle. There's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Now this man say pleasant words are as a honeycomb. So he say pleasant words, they drip. They flow. But let's look at something when it comes to this here when we look at pleasant. It say it's sweet to the soul now. When we look at pleasant, it's noam, it's kindness, it's delightfulness, it's beauty, it's favor. It's also name of one of two staves. Splendor or favor or beauty. So we can sit back and you look at this here and it's like it's the beauty of Kadesh to a certain extent. You know, get your Psalms 27 and Psalms 90 real fast. Psalms 27 and Psalms 90. And we'll look at the two staves, what he mentioned, and get you Zechariah chapter 11. Psalms 27, Psalms 90, and Zechariah 11. Look at Psalms 27 about verse 1, I should say. No, matter of fact, just go on ahead and make it about verse 4. Matter of fact, make it 3 though. Listen to verse 3 though. Listen what he say. He say, though a host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of Yahuwah that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahuwah all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yahuwah and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion, in the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me, he shall set me upon a rock. Now we know from Deuteronomy 32 and a couple other places, it mentions how honey comes out of a rock. Now what we're going to look at is you'll see honey is going to be symbolic to the word. And we're going to sit back and see how honey is going to come out of a rock. And you're also going to see how the honeycomb flows out of the same rock. Now when we look at this here and we look at the pleasant words are as a honeycomb. And he says that the beauty of Yahuwah to inquire in his temple or to inquire in his house. We know that the master said, destroy this house and I'll build it again in 3 days. But he spake of the temple of his body. So now we turn around and we look at it's the word that was made flesh and dwelt among us. That same word that we knew from the beginning that we know is true and that there's no lie in. This is one of the things that we mentioned months back. If the testimony of Mashiach is coming and it's solidified by the word that is true, then there ain't no lie in them. See, look at what it is. What verse that is? John chapter 7, right? We done looked at it before. John 7 and 16. Before we look at Psalm 90. John 7 and 16. Listen to what the master say now. He said, my doctrine is not mine. YAHUSHA answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of Elohim or whether I speak of myself. That's the whole key thing where you have to sit back and look at. If a man sit back and do what's being preached, you would be able to see, is it of Elohim or do the man speak of himself? This is how you would be able to separate that woman that's coming with that strange doctrine, with them words, or that those words that are like a honeycomb that are smoother than oil. Because that man is going to be speaking of himself that we read about in Daniel chapter 8. This whore of Babylon is speaking of herself. That's how you separate who the master has sent and who he hasn't sent. Are they doing the, are they speaking of Elohim, or are they speaking of themselves? Who are they pointing you to? He that speak of himself seek his own esteem. But he that seek his esteem that sent him, the same is true, and no unrighteousness is in it. Now, there's no lie to truth. So this man just sat back and said, if a man speak of himself, he seek to esteem himself. He said, but if he seeks the esteem of the person that sent him, he said that same person is true. Ain't no unrighteousness in him. Because that's how they were coming at him. They were coming at him like he was wicked. He said, nigga, I ain't speaking of myself. If you do the will of Elohim, you going to know whether I speak of myself or if I'm speaking of Elohim. You would know. You would know. They were quick to call this man wicked and quick to call him this here. This man never spoke of himself. This man wasn't speaking of, this man was not seeking his own esteem. He was seeking to honor Yahuwah in everything that he did. In every word that he spoke. Come on here to Psalm 90, man. Hallelujah for YAHUSHA. What verse do I desire? Let's look at about, let me see, about verse 8. Is verse 8 good enough? No, that's a little too high. Let's look at about verse 13. Matter of fact, make it 12. Matter of fact, make it 11. Listen to what he say. Get Romans to chapter 11, probably about verse 18, right behind this. After I read this verse 11. Psalm 9 and 11. Who know the power of thy anger? Even according to thy fear, so is thy wrath. Hold on. So teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. Say, who can know the power of your anger? It said it's according to your reverence. So as it is to your wrath, that we would number our days and apply our hearts to kokmar, to skill. Now look at Romans chapter 11. See, this is for them people that always scream, see, we need more love, brother. See, we need more love and encouragement. That man said you ought to sit back and understand who can know the power of his anger. It would teach you to number your days and apply your heart to wisdom. Yeah, Romans 11. I'm in 1 Corinthians 11. We definitely ain't going to get nothing accomplished there now, is we? Romans 11. Probably about verse 19. Make it 16. Romans 11 and 16. For if the first fruit be Kadash, the lump is also Kadash. And if the root be Kadash, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in amongst them, and with them partake of the root and the fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bear not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou stand by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if Elohim spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee. Behold therefore the goodness and severity of Elohim. Of them which fail, severity, but towards thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou shalt also be cut off. This is what the writer of this telling you, this psalm is telling you in the 90th chapter. Who can understand the power of his anger? As is his fear, so is his wrath. Therefore, we ought to number our days and apply our hearts unto wisdom. That's what he was trying to tell you. You need to apply your heart to wisdom. While you want to boast against these branches, you better realize he broke them all because they ain't believe. You in by faith, so you better be easy. Because you need to understand the goodness and the severity of this man in the same token. Just as he's good, he's severe. And his goodness and severity depends on your behavior. Period. Depends on your belief or unbelief. Period. Remember, because the sentence against an evil worker is not executed speedily, it's privily in the hearts of sons of men to do evil. See, sometimes you sit back and you look at it, right? You got some people that this man don't come see them to the end. All you got to do is look back in 1 Kings chapter 2, the men that sinned against David. Man, David didn't send down the edict to Solomon to take them down till he got ready to die. The men walked around for years not knowing that that judgment was going to come for the evil work that they committed. You thinking because everything's going good and it's going well and you're getting the things that you want, you think this man's not coming to see you. But your damnation slumbereth not and lingereth not. That man gonna come see you. He gonna come see you. Zechariah 11:5. See, those that forsake everything that they have, they don't have to worry about that. Those that have not have something to worry about. Make it a Zechariah 11:7. He said, I will feed the flock of the slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me 2 staves. One I called Beauty, and the other I called Bands, and I fed the flock. 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month, and my soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. Then said I will not feed you that die, let it die. And that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. And let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. And I took my staff, even Beauty, and cut it asunder, that I may break my covenant which I made with all the people. Remember, he say pleasant words are as a honeycomb or a dripping. And he say he took that pleasant word and broke it, that he might sever the covenant. Hebrews 9:12. Make it 11. Somehow, one way or another, going to tie this back into this honeycomb. Y'all will, and I promise we will. Because he said those pleasant words are as a honeycomb, and they sweet to the soul and they health to your bones. So we got to sit back and see how to be health to your bones. And we got to see how to be sweet to your soul. And then we'll look at the other 2 places in Proverbs 24 and then link it up, because I ain't keep you too long. We done looked at a lot of information in a short period of time, so we ain't got to be 2.5 hours and all of that. Ain't no need for that. Hebrews 9:11. But you got to get the understanding of what this man is trying to tell you. On both ends of the spectrum. Because if you love his word going to be sweet and pleasant to your taste. But if you don't regard yourself under wisdom, or if you don't attend under wisdom and bow your ear to understanding, then you're going to be deceived when somebody take that same word, which is to heal you, they're going to use it to deceive you. See, that's what happened when a lot of people say the white man wrote the Bible and all this other stuff. No, they didn't write anything. But they used the words of this book to deceive you, because at this time you weren't able to attend under wisdom nor bow your ear to understanding, because he had cut you off from that. Therefore, these people manipulated this book and told it to you as they desired to tell it to you. And when I say that, meaning that they interpreted the scripture how they wanted to interpret it, knowing that you had no idea what it meant. Because they had taken your name from you. They had taken your language from you. They had taken your Elohim from you. Therefore, you had been destroyed. Therefore, I can tell you whatever I want. I will not allow you to speak English. Therefore, you can't read it for yourself. You got to sit back and look at something. Not justifying on a spiritual level what Nat Turner did. On a natural level, I feel him though. But how do you think, where do you think that came from for this man to open up this book and identify himself with Moses, and then begin to tell his people that they were the children of Yasharal and it was his job to free them? Where do you think that inspiration came from? This man this man learned to speak English from his slave master. Where did that inspiration come from? You know ain't no slave master told it to him. You know it wasn't nobody walking around teaching him that. Where did it come from? And that's where that Job come in at. Where inspiration is of the Almighty. That's when you got to start considering and thinking. Where did that come? How did he know that? Who told him that? Elohim had to allow that to click in his brain for him to see that. Because how could he know that? How could he? See, some people look at it as, yeah, I'm looking at this here man, and I see we the people. Only Yahuwah could let you see that. In all honesty, that's base information. When I say base, it's basic. That's ground level. And that's not even nothing deep. But it's many of our people that read the stories of the children of Yasharal all the time and don't see themselves in it. And then there's some people who read them and they say, boy, I was reading this here and I seen it that we were the people. Well, who you think gave them that ability to see that? See, this is what I was telling Pale. I was talking to Pale about this here, man. See, what people don't realize here, man, see, you want to take Yahuwah out to play. See, I could never tell y'all it's because I read for hours, for 6-7 months straight, and studied like this here and studied like that there, that's the way I'm able to manifest his son out the book. I ought to go to hell for that, because that means Yahuwah had nothing to do with it, and I'm saying that's of myself. I can't take credit for that. When we know it's men who read more than I ever had, who's been doing this longer than I've ever had, and don't know nothing. And know they the children of Yasharal, talk about keep the commandment. I ain't talking about no Christians, man. I'm talking about dudes that know that we the people, that study for hours on end, take pictures with books, got backpacks full of books, showing you all manner of books, and don't know nothing. Now, why they don't know nothing? I'm not smarter than them. I'm not better than them. What's the difference between me and them? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's all about the favor of Yahuwah. That man gives knowledge and wisdom who he want to give to. Period. Ecclesiastes 2 tell you that. He give it to who he want to give it to. So don't think because you read and study a lot that means you're going to know something. If Yahuwah don't want you to know it, you're not going to know it. If he wants you to know it, it's not a force on earth that can stop it. Period. You know what I'm saying? You have to sit back and realize and acknowledge who giving you the inspiration, where that come from. Because the minute you begin to take credit of it yourself is the minute you begin to set yourself up to go to hell. Because now you have removed your Elohim and you're no longer giving him the esteem. You're esteeming yourself. That's not good, yo. That's dangerous. That's not the hallmark of a mind of a man who seeks to become like his Elohim, because that's not the mind the master had. The master didn't say he did anything on his own volition. Say, my father allows me to do this. Even when Peter said, you the Mashiach, the son of the living Elohim, he said, blessed are your eyes, Simon Bar-Jonah, for my father and Shamaim have revealed it unto you. He let him know you didn't know this off on your own. Abba Yahuwah let you know it. Because there were people walking around listening to this man and seeing this man do all these things and could not see it. Why? Because the man told you that no man can see the Son unless the Father reveal it to him. You got to give credit to Elohim. All esteem got to go to him. If you don't, that means you proud, and he resisteth the proud, and you setting yourself up for damnation. Where was we going? Don't remember. Nevertheless, I don't remember what I just mentioned. Go to Proverbs 24. Proverbs 24 and 13. Yeah, appreciate it. Hebrews 9:11. Thanks, sir. Hebrews 9:11. You know I'm old, man. I forget stuff. Hebrews 9:11. But Mashiach being come a high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building. Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered once into the Kadesh place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctify to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Mashiach, who through the eternal Ruach offered himself without spot to Elohim, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living Elohim? And by this cause he's the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which were called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. Remember, he said, you know the promise. We read that in John. So we seeing the breaking the beauty of those two staves, or the pleasant word that dripped like a honeycomb, that had to happen because he had to be killed. Now this same honeycomb, that same sweetness is going to be sweet to your soul and health to your bones. And you who are willing will see how to be health to your bones. Because I got an avenue how I'm going to work it. You who are willing. Proverbs 24 and 11. Just keep that in mind, right? Don't let me forget it because you know I'm old. The health to your bones. Proverbs 24 and 11. Just keep that in mind now, because he said, I'm going to break my covenant. So he had to break the son. He had to break the master to break the covenant, to make a new one. Do you know what I'm saying? Not according to the one that I made with your fathers when I brought them out of the wilderness, for which covenant they break. Therefore I regarded them not. All you got to sit back and look at that is you can see the beauty of the two staves being broke when Moses broke the 2 tables of stone. I'm breaking the covenant. I'm breaking beauty. That's the beauty of Elohim. That's the steam. That's the word. I'm breaking the word. I'm going to break my son. I'm going to break this covenant, man. But I'm going to give you something better in the midst of when I'm doing that. Because now you can obtain an eternal inheritance, eternal redemption, if you forsake everything that you have and follow me for my name's sake. Got to keep that in mind. Proverbs 24, verse 11. Make it 13, straight to the point. My son, eat thou honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to thy taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto thy soul when thou hast found it. Then there shall be a reward, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. So this man really transitioned and turned around and said, if you eat honey and the honeycomb is going to be sweet to your taste, then the knowledge of wisdom will be under your soul when you found it, and there will be a reward, and your expectation wouldn't be cut off. Again, keep that in mind of going along with being sweet to your soul and health to your bones when you looking at this honey and this honeycomb. Proverbs 27:7. The full soul loathes the honeycomb, but to the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit this here. Now what does he mean by every bitter thing is sweet? He said a full soul, it loathes the dripping. What do you think this could mean when they say a full soul loathes the honeycomb or the no fat or the dripping? It hates it. What could this mean? But you went and got a haircut today, boy?
I went yesterday.
You shaking yourself off like you got hit on your shoulder. Don't nobody know? Job chapter 20. Yahuwah willing going to take all of it, right? Put it all together in a nice little pot and stir it and shake it up. And you know what I'm saying? And you'll have a delightful meal when it's completed. That'd be y'all. That if y'all be merciful. Now keep that in mind, right? He say a full soul hates the dripping. He say, but that same stuff, that same bitter thing is sweet to him that hungry. Let me quote him right now. He also said to be health to your bones, right? Then he say if you eat your honey and your honeycomb, he say, man, you'll understand the knowledge of wisdom and you would have a full reward and your expectation wouldn't be cut off. Now what he said in Proverbs 27, he said to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. Remember what the master told you in Matthew chapter 5, right? What about verse 4? Baruch is them that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. If you remember, we read on Wednesday in Psalms 81, he said, I'm Yahuwah thy Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Mizraim. Open thy mouth wide, I'll fill it. Job chapter 20.
The full soul made me think of, like, the proud. Like the proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Full soul, they loathe the honeycomb. They hate the word. They hate it. We're going to see how that bitter, say, but to the hungry soul, that bitter thing is made sweet. We'll see what that is. We're going to see what that is in a minute. Job chapter 20. What I want here, man? 20 and 11, man. 20 and 11. Job 20 and 11, man. 20 and 11. Because I got to get ready to lock it down pretty soon. It's 10:19. His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue. Though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth. Yet his meat is in his bowels is turned, it is the gall of asp within him. He hath swallowed down riches, he shall vomit them up again. Elohim shall cast them out of his belly. He shall suck the poison of asps, the viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall swallow it down, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be. He shall not rejoice therein. Because he have oppressed and forsaken the poor, because he have violently taken away a house which he builded not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he has desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. Now I read a little bit more than what we needed to. But I want y'all to look at something in this Job, right? I'm finna zero in on the verse that we gonna focus on. What do y'all think this means when he say his bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust? Because remember it said that this same honey would be health to your bones. And he say, though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue. What do you think this could be referencing and referring to? It also said that he swallowed down riches, he'll throw them up again. And Elohim will cast them right out of his belly. Now remember that we said here that we got kahad. This is to hide, to conceal, to cut off, to cut down. Or to cover or to hide. This is what it means when he say he'll hide wickedness under his tongue. What do y'all think about when you hearing this here? What is into your mind? Because it said wickedness would be sweet in his mouth. It would be pleasing. Become sweet. Relish.
It makes you think about like like how we just read in Proverbs 4 that they're just prideful, you're not really humble like you should be.
Mm-hmm.
He's hiding things and not really sensitive. Pretty much not, like I said, not being humble like you should.
And on a natural level, absolutely. I'll give you that. Say his bones are full of the sin of his youth. Let's look at Romans chapter 5, probably about verse 14. Always remember what I tell you, man. When they talk about the sins of your youth, we already read about it earlier. That takes you all the way back to Adam. But it says his bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. So it's talking about the master. The master is wearing the sins of his youth with him because he's wearing Adam's sin, and it's going to lie with him in the dust. Romans 5 and 14. Then we're going to come back and see how wickedness was sweet in his mouth and he hiding it under his tongue. Because they're going to be like, the master didn't have no wickedness in his mouth. All they're talking about is he hiding your sins. Because he said that every bitter soul, he said that every hungry soul, that bitter stuff made sweet. We're going to see how it made sweet and how it be health to your bones now. Because he said he got to lay down with the bones of his youth. What does the law tell you if we think about what we looked at last week dealing with Adam and his wife? He called her what? Flesh of my flesh, bone of my bones. What did Paul say? He said we members of his body, as it is written, flesh of flesh, bone of bone. This is a great mystery which I speak against the body and the Elohim. So when we see how this honeycomb or this honey is going to be health to your bones. Health to your bones. Health to your bones. And he going to lay down with the sins of your youth. We're going to see in a minute. We're going to see in a minute. Romans 5 and 12. After Romans chapter 5 verse 12. John chapter 6. Probably about verse 40. I said verse 14, not 12. We don't need 12, but we'll read 12 anyway. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, so death passed unto all men for all that have sinned. For unto the Torah sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed when there is no Torah. For unto nevertheless death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who was the figure of him that was to come. But not as the offense, so also is the free gift. For if through the offense of one many be dead, and much more the favor of Elohim, and the gift by favor, which is by one man, YAHUSHA HaMashiach, have abounded unto many. And not as it was by one that sinned, so is the gift. For the judgment was by one to the condemnation, but the free gift is of many offenses unto justification. For if by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which receive abundance of favor and of the gift of righteousness shall reign in life by one, YAHUSHA HaMashiach. Therefore, as by the offense of one judgment came upon all men to condemnation, even so the righteousness of one that the free gift came upon all men unto justification. Maybe say, my bones are full of the sin of his youth. My wife is full of the sin of death by this covenant that she made. Remember, we looked at last week how Adam died with his bones, or died with his wife. So he's sitting back, the master is full of the sin of his people. He said, Elohim so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. He said, I came to die. You just seen in Matthew, he told him, I got to be killed by the chief priest. And Peter said, this ain't going to happen to you. And he said, see, Peter, I got to tell Peter this here. Satan, get behind me. I'm offended by you. Because you savor the things that be a man and not a Elohim. That's how you supposed to feel. Somebody that favors the things that be a man and not a Elohim, that should be an abomination unto you. Because the master just said, that is an offense to me. I detest that. I am offended by that. That is abominable to me. I am disgusted by that. That's how we supposed to. This is how you see how the master was showing you the hallmark of having a spiritual mind versus a carnal mind. Because the spiritual mind is offended by the things of this life, and offended by the things of the flesh, and offended by the things that man desires, because man does not desire the things that Elohim desires. You got to let that resonate in your mind. Are you offended by that? Does that bother you? Or are you cool with that? Because if somebody's coming bringing you the things that be a man, you're supposed to be like, man, get behind me, adversary. You're an offense to me. You're trying to keep me carnal. I ain't on that. For if by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so by the obedience of one shall many be made righteous. Now remember, he say one man because he say in the beginning, he made them male and female and called their name Adam. Because woman came from man, so therefore this one man's disobedience, because she came from him, so his bones are full with the sin of his youth. My bone is full with the sin of death. I got to lay down with it.
Yeah, baby.
So I got to lay down in the dust with it. I got to go in the grave with this.
Get up now. Y'all getting the wrinkles.
Moreover,
Want to get out now? First you wanted to get out now.
oh, you think he just realized that? Moreover, the Torah. My word gone. I don't know what that say. Say, moreover, the Torah entered that the offense might abound. But when sin abounded, favor did much more abound. That sin have reigned unto death, even so might favor reign through righteousness unto eternal life by YAHUSHA HaMashiach our Master. So now we begin to look at son to see what he meaning by. He said his sin of his youth, which lie down with him in the dust. That sin of his youth, that sin of Adam, that death, it lied down with him in the dust. Look at 1 Corinthians 15 real fast, just on general principle. First Corinthians 15 and 20. He said, but now is Mashiach risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in Mashiach shall all be made alive. So it says, though wickedness be sweet in his mouth. Because remember it said, attend your ears under discretion, right? Attend unto wisdom and by your ear unto understanding, that you might regard discretion to keep you from the mouth of the strange woman whose words drip as a honeycomb and are smoother the oil, but her pathway lead unto death. See, now you can sit back and now it's talking about your master now, and we look at it in that aspect. Because that same strange woman brought him death. Let's see how she did it. John 6 and 40. All you got to remember is Proverbs 6 and, I don't want to say 23, but Proverbs chapter 6, he say, by means of a whorish woman is a man brought to a piece of bread. We done went over that before. The master by means of a whorish woman was brought to one piece of bread because he broke bread with his apostles. And that same bread, which was sweet like honey because they was eating unleavened bread, and then you have to sit back and look at it, that he telling them to eat his flesh, and he going to see in John 6 and 40 what that's equating to, because Exodus 16 tell you that manna was like wafers mixed with honey. Sweet word. Sweet to your taste. Say like here to he say even that bitter thing sweet to a hungry soul. We got to sit back and look and see how it's bitter. Because we're going to look at Ezekiel. Ezekiel said when it went in, it was bitter to him too. But it was still sweet though. 6 and 40. Make it 6 and 35. Matter of fact, just make it 31. John 6 and 31. Listen what the man tell you. Now listen what your Savior tells you about himself. Our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written, he gave them bread from Shamahim to eat. Then YAHUSHA said unto them, Truly, truly, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from Shamahim, but my Abba give you the true bread from Shamahim. For the bread of Elohim is he which come down from Shamahim and give life unto the world. Then they said unto him, Master, evermore give us this bread. YAHUSHA said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that come to me shall never hunger, and he that believe on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you, that you also have seen me, and believe not. All that the Abba give me shall come to me. And him that come to me will I no wise cast out. That's why he say, I know you, that the love of Elohim is not in you, because you will not come to me that you might have life. Niggas don't really love this man for real. Niggas don't believe on this man for real. But he said, all those that Abba gave me, they surely will come to me. He said, man, if Abba done gave him to him, he said, can't no man pluck you out of his hand. So that's what you're going to look at. Some people are sons of perdition. Some people just like Judas. You ain't never belong nowhere. You just here for the ride. For I came down from Shamahim not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is the Abba's will which hath sent me, that all which he hath given me, I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which see the Son and believe on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. See how he say his bones are full of the sin of his youth. He lied down in the dust. That man lied down in the dust. That when you seen him and believed on him, that he is the one that you'd have everlasting life. That's why he say wickedness was sweet in his mouth. He hated under his tongue. He hid your sins. He covered them up. You got to remember what it says in Isaiah 43. He blot out your transgressions. They will not be mentioned unto you. He told you that in Ezekiel 18. When a wicked man turned from all his ways, all the wickedness that he did shall not be mentioned unto him. This man laid down for the remission of sins so that those things would not be mentioned unto you. So he'll hide your wickedness in his mouth. Hide it right under his tongue. It's covered. It's covered. He said, even though wickedness is sweet to his soul. How is that wickedness sweet to his soul? Because he sat down and he ate that bread. He said, eat, this is my body. His body became sin. He became sin to destroy sin. So therefore, this is how the wickedness is sweet to his soul. Because that man just said, the bread of life, he says, I'm going to give us my body. Let's read. Can we read that verse where he says his body? 6 and 50. 6 and 48 though. Look what he says, it's his body. That's why wickedness was sweet to his soul. Because he said, take, eat, this is my body. He ate it with him. The man told you in 1 Corinthians 11 that you're showing this man's death till he come. That's the sin of his youth, laying down in the dust. That's the wickedness right now. I'm going to cover your sins with I'm not going to mention them. They will not be mentioned unto you if you repent and forsake your sins. I am that bread of life. This is John 6 and 48. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which come down from Shamahim, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am that living bread which came down from Shamahim. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. Like I said, we tied it into this aspect because he said those pleasant words are as a honeycomb and it's health to your bones. And it says that that manna was wafers of honey, sweetness. And he was showing you how this is the living word. Look at Psalms 119 and 103. Pretty much almost every Hebrew know it. Because, they love that verse right there. And rightfully so. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good one, though. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Remember, take this here to Jeremiah now. He tell you that in Jeremiah 17 too, though. But I'm thinking about Psalm 81. He said, open your mouth wide, man, he'll fill it. If you hunger and thirst after righteousness, and we know righteousness of faith, but you hunger and thirst after his son, that man will fill you with that. And I ain't talking about just fill you with a mind full of precepts either. I'm talking about feeding you with the keys of the salvation of your soul. Just don't be content with having a mind full of precepts. Let those precepts manifest everlasting life inwardly to it's where it's manifested outwardly. Let that be shown. Psalm 119, 103. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. See, through the Son you'll get understanding. That means you'll hate anything that goes against them, which goes along with what we were talking about earlier, that if they bring a doctrine to you which is different than the doctrine that you receive.
I go to him every Friday morning. That'd be my day I go.
You know what I'm saying? You'll be accursed. Hey, mute your phone, Stanley. I don't even think you realize it ain't. There you go. Think about that. Let that register in your brain. That because his word is sweet to your taste, and it say that this same honeycomb is sweet to the hungry soul, you'll hate everything that's contrary to it. Let me read that Proverbs, what he said about that hungry soul, because I don't want to quote the man wrong. You all right, you all right. He said, to a hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. Look at Ezekiel chapter 2. Look at Ezekiel chapter 2. We finna get ready to wrap it up, man. I just got one more thing I want to show before we do. I hope that Yahuwah, by Hashem YAHUSHA, that you get some understanding of what he's trying to impart unto us. Because what he imparting is how his word is sweet to us, and how we see this man laid his life down, and how we turn around and see how he's covering our iniquities. And then we turn around and we look at how we have to have this man word inside of us that we won't follow after strange doctrines and strange gods. And then we turn around and see how we got to forsake everything that we have to attain unto this. But he say, to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. So we have to sit back and see how every bitter thing is sweet. Ezekiel chapter 2. Let me see if it's 2. That's Ezekiel chapter 3. Ezekiel chapter 3 and 1. I don't think that's what it was. I think I'm thinking about something else. Yeah, I'm thinking about something else. And that's not what I'm thinking about. Ezekiel 3 and 1. It says, moreover, he said unto me, son of man, eat thou that thou find to eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Yasharal. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then I did eat, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. See, when you turn around and you look at it, right, and you eat this word, it becomes sweet in your mouth. See, I'm thinking about something else, but I can't remember where it's at. Because it's not that right there, man. It was something else. It was somebody was eating. He said it was bitter. Bitter to me, but that ain't what it is. I can't recall what it is. It escapes my mind at this time. That he told somebody else to eat. And he said when he ate, it was sweet in my mouth, but it was bitter in my bowels. I think it's in Revelation, but nevertheless, it escapes my mind at this time. See, when he sit back and he say every bitter thing is sweet to the hungry soul, we look at what the Master said after his resurrection. He said, should not Mashiach have suffered these things to enter into his esteem? See, when we sit back and we look at the things that we're going to have to suffer for the word, the denial of self, the denial of the flesh, the denial of the word, the persecution, the tribulations. That's why he say by and by people are offended. To the hungry soul, that's going to be sweet because they know the end result of what they're going to receive. He say to that fool soul, it's going to be loathsome, which goes back to what we looked at with the rich young ruler. It was loathsome for him because he was full. I have all these things of this life and the things of this world. I have no desire for this honeycomb. I have no desire for the sweetness of this word. I have no desire for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that. I want the things that I have. I want the life that I have. I don't want to give these things up. But of those that are hungry and thirst after righteousness, like the Master told you in Matthew chapter 5, then that bitter thing is going to be sweet to you. I think that is in the book of Revelation what I'm thinking about. Let me look and see. Because it's instead of just rolling around in my brain. Yeah, Revelation chapter 10. That's where it is. Praise be to you. He ain't forsaken. Revelation 10 and 8. 10 and 7. I know it was cycling in there. He brought it to mind. I thank the Lamb. 10 and 7. Revelation 10 and 7. Listen what he say now when John ate this same book. Because when Ezekiel ate it, say it was sweet in my mouth. Let's see what it is with John though. But in the days of the voice of the seventh Malachim, which he shall begin to sound, the mystery of Elohim should be finished, as he declared to his servants the prophets. Got to remember that he's declared this mystery to his servants aforetime. And the voice which I heard from Shamahim speaking to me again, and said, go and take the little book which is in the open in the hand of the Malachim, which stand upon the sea and upon their racks. And I went unto the Malachim, and he said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. I took the little book out of the Malachim's hand and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, it made my belly was bitter. Say his belly was bitter, his bowels were bitter. There was a difference. You know the difference is the word is sweet to my taste, but there's affliction that go along with this. He say that every hungry soul, that bitter thing is sweet. You see the same with the prefix of where you see this with John. You would also sit back and see that there, that after when the master got ready, before the master got ready to eat, he said he was exceedingly sorrowful even unto death. Because he had already eaten the word and it was sweet to his soul, but now it became to be bitter to his belly because of what he was about to get ready to go through. But then he looked at what he was going to go through, and he despised the shame and looked at the joy that was set before him and adored that bitterness or that affliction. See, a lot of times, brothers sit back and look at it. If you eat this roll, you got to realize it's going to be bitter in your belly because you're going to have to suffer. They say, well, much wisdom is much grief. A lot of people don't want this bitterness. You don't want the bitterness that go along with the sweetness. Because it's going to be sweet to your taste. And it's going to be health to your bones. We see how it's going to be health to your bones. Because this man told you, I am the bread of life. You eat this man's flesh, it's going to cause you to live. Because he's going to cover your sins. He's going to hide your wickedness in his mouth. He's going to lie down in the dust with the sins of his youth. He's going to lie down with that. He's going to cover that up. But you got to sit back and realize, how hungry are y'all? And is this same sweet word, even though it's bitter, do you desire it? Because I don't think people realize how bitter it is. You know, Acts 14:22 say, through much tribulation we must enter into the kingdom of Shamahim. Do we realize how bitter it is? Because you're going to have to suffer. You're going to have to suffer. You're going to have to suffer. You're going to have to suffer in the flesh by denying sin, and you're going to literally suffer. And that's bitter. That's why he say, by and by they are offended when persecution and tribulation arise because of the word. That's the stark difference. You know how bitter that is to say, I got to forsake everything that I have. I can't go do this. Why I can't go do this? Why I can't go do this? Because you're not fit for the kingdom. That's why you can go do it, nigga. You ain't fit for this. So do you. Those who are fit for that same bitterness, well, it's sweet to my soul. Come on back to Job chapter 20. Hallelujah for YAHUSHA in the word. You have to sit back and think about it. That he say the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. Sweet. So that means all that suffering. That's why Paul say, don't be ashamed of the afflictions of the gospel. Be a partaker. Partake of the bitterness. It's going to be sweet to your soul. To get the dripping that come from this honeycomb. I'm mentioning that for a reason, because I'm going to show you something out of that before we depart from here. So when we look at what it is, we in verse 14, where it say, yet his meat in his bowels is turned. This is Job 20. It is the gall of asps within him. So he say this meat in his belly is turned, right? That's that same honeycomb. It say it's gall, right? So when we look at gall, it's a bitter thing. It's poison. Then we got to look at these asps that are within him. So we look at that there. That's a snake. That's a venomous serpent. Say he has swallowed down riches and he shall vomit them up again. Elohim shall cast them out of his belly. He said he shall suck the poison of asps, and the viper's tongue shall slay him. So how will this viper's tongue slay him, a viper or a snake? Well, let's look and see. Matthew chapter 3, verse 5. So we look at this, right? He said, look what he said. Now, yet his meat in his bowels is turned. We already established when the master was eating that meat to have his bowels were turned, what this is referring to. An overthrow, or to turn back, or to change oneself, or to be overthrown. When the master sat down and he ate this meat, or he ate that bread, or his flesh, this is what was going to allow what they come after that. After that, he was overthrown. They came and got him. They came and got him. So now when he sees, say, the gall of ass or this bitter thing, now death is upon him. Now we see he swallowed down his riches. We're going to see what that is. But he say he'll suck the poison of ass, and the viper's tongue going to slay him. Let's see how the viper's tongue going to slay him. But we got to see who the viper's tongue is. Matthew 3 and 5. Let's see who the viper's tongue is. I thank the Lamb for the word. 3 and 5. We'll make it 3 and 4. And the same John had his raiment of camel hair, and a leather girdle about his loins, and his meat was locusts and wild honey. Then went out him to Jerusalem and all Yehuda, and all the region about Jordan, and were immersed of him in Jordan, confessing their sins. But when he saw the Pharisees and Sadducees come to his immersion, he said unto them, O generation of vipers, who have warned you to flee from the wrath to come? So now we see who the vipers are. It's the scribes and Pharisees. Let's see how the scribes and Pharisees slayed him. Because he said a viper's tongue shall slay him. Matthew 27. Or 26, my apologies. Matthew 26. Let's see how the viper's tongue slayed him. Matthew chapter 26 and 60. 59 actually. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council saw false witness against YAHUSHA to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses did come, yet found they none. And at the last came 2 false witnesses, and said, This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of Elohim and build it in 3 days. Now we know after this the master quotes Daniel 7, and then they said blasphemy and kill him. Remember what Pilate said? Pilate said, I know that you brought this man unto me because of envy. So how did the viper's tongue slay him? A venomous snake, because he said, you of your father the devil, the lust of your father ye will do, because he was a liar from the beginning. So how did the viper's tongue slay him? They slayed him with lies. They lied on the man. This is why John 16, the master say there were some who will kill you and think they do Elohim service. So you know what ends up happening that we turn around and we look at this? That these people going to come back around in these last days when they begin to actually persecute the true Kadeshim, and they're going to tell lies to be able to kill you. Because that same bitter thing that the master took in, if you're going to eat this roll and you're going to sit here and it be sweet in your mouth as honey, but bitter in your belly, then you're going to have to realize that the same people who love you, like he told you in Luke 24, he said your mother and your father and your own kinsmen will get you killed. Just like what happened to him. That same viper's tongue is going to slay you, because these people are going to speak lies against you, and really they speaking against YAHUSHA, showing forth that they're the children of them who killed him. You have to sit back and you need to think on that. That's what I meant when I mentioned that earlier. If you actually walk in this and you actually live this, it's not many people that love you. Because he says these people will kill you thinking they doing Elohim service. These people going to kill you thinking they doing Yahuwah service. Why are they going to kill you? Because this man, this strange woman who going to be dropping honeycomb with words smoother than oil is going to make people believe that this wicked man standing in front of y'all is the son of the living Elohim. And when you speak in the name of YAHUSHA, they're going to be like, man, we got to kill him. We got to do Elohim service. Because that's the son of the living Elohim. They're blaspheming. We got to kill him. It's going to be people who claim to be in this way that's going to be the first ones to kill you. Because they don't believe in this man, they don't believe in his father, and they don't believe in his book, and they hate you and everything you stand for because you stand for him. The same way they hated him and took him out. But the key thing is he said he swallowed down riches and he vomited them up out of his belly. So we need to sit back and look at something when it comes to talking about vomiting them up out of their belly. Let's look at 1 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 27. 25, I should say. We talked about it a little bit this here last week. I'm going to look at something in Songs of Solomon while y'all turn to that. Because we about to close up shop. We ain't got no more dope to sell. We done slung all the dope rocks we could sling for the night. We finna close the trap down. They gonna have to holler at us tomorrow when we open up shop tomorrow. Y'all willing on tomorrow. They gotta holler at us on tomorrow when we open up shop. I'm gonna read you Songs of Solomon 4 and 11, and I'm gonna reread you Songs of Solomon 5 and 1 on what we talked about last week. It says, thy lips, O my spouse, drop as the honeycomb. Honey and milk are under thy tongue, and the smell of thy garments is as the smell of Lebanon. Say the lips or the mouth of my spouse drop as a honeycomb. And say honey and milk are under your tongue. Remember it said in Songs of Solomon 5 and 1, which we read last week, that I came in my garden, my sister, my spouse. I gathered my myrrh and my spice. I've eaten my honeycomb with my honey. Honeycomb in this particular verse is yahar, which means a forest, a thick or wood or woods. And that's the same you're going to see Yahara in 1 Samuel 14 and 27, but we're going to read verse 25 to begin with. Because it said that he got to vomit these things up out of his belly. 1 Samuel 14 and 25. First Samuel 14, 25. Hold on. Hold on. 1 Samuel 14 and 22. It was something else I was looking at earlier. I got to hold it. But I can still work one of the principles of what I was looking at earlier. I can use it right here though. So, Todah YAHUSHA for that. Likewise, all the men of Yasharah, which had hid themselves in Mount Ephraim, when they heard that the Philistines fled, even they also followed hard after them in the battle. So Yahuwah saved Yasharah that day, and the battle passed over unto Bethaven. And the men of Yasharah were distressed that day, for Saul had adjured the people, cursed be the man that ate any food until evening, that I may be avenged on my enemies. So none of the people tasted any food. Now, he said the people would be cursed if they tasted any of the food, right? When you go look at Matthew chapter 7 and Matthew 12, it said that the people feared that they desired the praise of men more than Elohim. Therefore, they wouldn't confess this man openly. Therefore, they wouldn't eat any of the food. They wouldn't eat any of his flesh. This is the same thing going to happen in the time when a man of sin reveals himself. That they're going to tell you that you're going to be cursed if you eat this man's flesh and you confess him openly. And you have to have your mind wrapped around that and be mentally and spiritually prepared for what you're about to embark on. You got to do like the master told you in Luke 14. You got to sit down and count the cost, whether you got sufficient to pay. And all they of the land came to a wood, and there was honey upon the ground. Now, how was there honey on the ground? And when the people were coming to the wood, behold, the honey dropped. But no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. That ain't no different than the people feared the scribes. Go over here to John chapter 7, man. I ain't even finna play with it. It's John chapter 7. Let's sit back. So they feared the oath now. Look at John chapter 7. Look at what these people were scared of. That might have been what I was thinking about. I think that was it right now. If it ain't John chapter 7, it's John chapter 12. John 12, what it is. John 12 and 37. Say they feared the oath. Even in John 9, they told you that. We'll look at John 9 too. Let's look at what these people were fearful of. But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him, that the saying of Yeshayahu the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spake, Yahuwah, who have believed our report, and in whom have the arm of Yahuwah been revealed. Therefore they could not believe, because that Yeshayahu had said again, he hath blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, that they should see not with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted, and I should heal them. These things said Yeshayahu when he saw his esteem and spake of him. Nevertheless, among the chief rulers also many believed on him, but because of the Pharisees they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue, for they loved the praise of men more than the praise of Elohim. And I'm going to be honest with you. That's a majority of Hebrews' problem in these days and time as we speak. That they love the praise of men more than the praise of Elohim. That's why a lot of men will not take hard stances. That's why a lot of men will say that I will not accept your doctrine because it's contrary to the doctrine of the Son of the living Elohim. Therefore, it is contrary to the doctrine of the Abba, the Ben Elohim. Then they scared to be called that they in a cult, or to be called religious, or to be called all this, that, then the third, because you would rather men love you, and you would rather that men esteem you, and you would rather that men praise you, than that your Elohim would love you, and esteem you, and praise you. Because you worried about how you look in the eyesight of men. See, this man told you, how can you believe that seek honor one from another, and not seek the honor that comes from Elohim only? I thank Yahuwah that he gave me a mind like that even before the word. I don't care for a nigga like me. I ain't never looked for the love. No, I never loved the praise of men, nor sought after it, don't need it, don't want it, don't care for it. And I felt like that before the word. So I thank Yahuwah, he put that in my character. That's not in my personality, that's in my character. I ain't never cared about that. I ain't never cared about that. I ain't never went and did nothing in my life looking for the praise of men. Because I don't care what a nigga think about me. I don't care what a nigga got to say about me. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. Straight up and down. You know what I'm saying? I know I done been around niggas that say, boy, that's my brother, boy, I love that nigga, and can't stand me in real life, though. And ain't never opened their mouth and uttered them words. And nigga, I don't care, nigga. I'ma still do what it is that I do, nigga. You do what you do, nigga, which is be a buster. You know what I'm saying? I'ma do what I do, though. You don't like what I do? Then get from around me then, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't worried about what another nigga doing. Because I'm going to tell you like this here. If I don't like a nigga, I ain't even going to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? I ain't on that fake stuff being around people and I don't like them. I'm not finna hang with you and I don't like you. I'm not finna be around you and I don't like you. I'm not finna call and talk to you and I don't like you. I'm not on that. I ain't going to deal with you at all. You know what I'm saying? I see, I speak, we cool. You know what I'm saying? I ain't on that. I ain't finna be around a nigga. No, I don't like that nigga. I ain't on that. If I'm around you, I ain't got no problem with you. Because if I don't like you, I'm not going to deal with you at all. I'm not on that. That's phony. I'm not on that. I'm not going to be pretending to be somebody's friend. I know I don't like them. For real, I ain't on that, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a lot of our people problem is. You won't praise the men. You love that. He said you want the greetings in the synagogue and in the markets, rabbi, rabbi. That's what niggas looking for. That's why I be telling you, man, I be in public, I don't say nothing. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? I ain't, man, I could care less about niggas praising me, man. What am I going to do with that? At the end of the day, what are you going to do with it? What can you get from Elohim with that? The people show love me, Father. He say, woe unto you if everyone speak well of you. He say, so did they fathers of the false prophets. You better think about that. That man say, destruction be to you, everybody speak good about you. If everybody speaking good about you, boy, you ain't going hard enough. You ain't telling no truth, then everybody speak good about you and they love you. That's that bitter thing. Sweet to the hungry soul. That's bitter right there to your soul. Everybody speaking bad about you. People slandering your name, wishing evil on you, hating you. That's bitter right there. Is that sweet to your soul or does that offend you? Come on back to 1 Samuel 14. Keep in mind now, he say he got to vomit that stuff up out his belly, right? Remember, honeycomb mean a dripping or a dropping. On that no 5. It's dripping, it's a dropping. He see some honey on the ground. It's been dripping and dropping about this tree. You know what I'm saying? Verse 27, but Jonathan heard not when his father charged the people with the oath. Wherefore he put the end of that rod that was in his hand and dipped it in the honeycomb and put it in his mouth, and his eyes were enlightened. Then answered one of the people and said, thy father straitly charged the people with an oath, saying, cursed be the man that eat any food this day. And the people were faint. You know, I mentioned John 9, and that's what that's the parents of the blind men, and nobody wanted to confess the master openly because they were scared to be put out of the synagogue. Then said Jonathan, my father have troubled the land. See, I pray you how my eyes have been enlightened because I tasted a little of this honey. See, that's the same thing when you sit back and you look at that man in John 9. He say, man, y'all around here troubling the people. He say, you don't see how my eyes open now that I done tasted a little bit of this honey about this tree? Because remember, he got his honey about a tree. They in the woods, man. They in the woods. Because that's the word that's used there is your YAHUSHA, which is a forest or a thicket or the woods. He getting this out of a tree. We dealt with how the master is the tree of life. So now we have to turn around and see somebody sticking their rod in some honey and their eyes being enlightened. John chapter 20 and verse 25. And it would help if I had a book with that page in it. That book does not have that page in it. John 20 and 25. Excuse me. 24. But Thomas, one of the 12 called Didymus, was not with them when YAHUSHA came. Then other disciples therefore said unto them, we have seen the Master. But he said unto them, except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And after 8 days again, the disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Then came YAHUSHA, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Shalom be unto you. Then saith he to Thomas, reach hither thy finger, and behold my hands, and reach hither thy side, and thy hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, my master and my Elohim. YAHUSHA saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Baruch are they that have not seen, and yet have believed. Because remember, when you sit back and you talk about pulling honey up out of a tree, there's usually a hole or an opening in that tree for you to be able to get it. And you turn around and you see Thomas doing exactly what Jonathan did. He stuck his hand in that hole to get him some honey. And when he got it, his eyes were open. He said, you ain't seen how my eyes was open after I tasted of this honey. Because he hadn't tasted of the living word when he stuck his hand inside of that tree and he hadn't seen life. And that's what we had to sit back and have that do the same thing that Jonathan did. Stick your rod into that tree and taste that honey so your eyes can be open. Because once your eyes are open, you can see how these pleasant words are good to your soul, and it'll have health to your bones. It'll give you the everlasting life that you claim that you seek after. But know that that same honey going to make your belly bitter, but it's going to be sweet in your mouth though. Because he said, truly is the light sweet, and the word was made flesh, and that light was in it, and that light was the life of men, and eternal life is definitely sweet in your mouth. But that persecution, and that tribulation, and that suffering, it's going to be bitter to your belly. But be of good cheer, because YAHUSHA overcome the world. That's the message that he left us. See, when you look at it, he say he'll vomit these things out of his belly. See, that's going back to show you again how he was that tree in the woods. Because since they took him outside of Jerusalem into that place, that's the same way how they say you got to take him outside the camp, or outside into the wilderness, or outside into sin. And when they hit him in the side, that's the honey coming up out the honeycomb. That's the honeycomb coming up out that tree. And you see how he vomited his riches, or his blood and his water out of his belly. Because his blood is your riches. His blood is what caused your sins to be covered, which caused you to allow to be able to partake of all the things of the living Elohim, which also show you how you be health to your bones. Because when he emptied the blood and water out, that caused him to be able to be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh and the resurrection of the dead, to be declared the Son of Elohim with power, so he can impart that unto you. That's the mercy of Elohim right there. And that's what we look at when we look at this honeycomb. This honeycomb is pointing us to the word, and it's pointing us to the tree, and it's pointing us to the sun, and it's showing you how all these things went down and occurred, so we can attend unto wisdom and our ear unto understanding, so we don't be deceived by these wicked people who seek to seduce us from our Elohim and turn us from the word of salvation, that we might not be saved. So hallelujah for YAHUSHA and the word, and we stop right there. Y'all understood all this stuff this evening? Oh my